Chenai is a property developer, landlord, and chartered accountant. She is here to share her property journey and give us an insight on skills you need to build your property empire.
Over to you, Chenai. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chenai. Thank you. And thank you, everyone who's joined us this evening. Thank you for taking the time out. I know obviously you've all got very busy schedules, but thank you for coming to hear us this wonderful session. I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Hopefully you should all see this. Should be fine. Can I just get a little thumbs up that you can see it? Cool. No, that's all right. So let's get into it. I'm going to talk to you about creating wealth through property investing today. I'll just give you a brief outline of what we'll go through. I'll do just a brief introduction of who I am for those who don't know me, and then also talk about why you should be investing in property as well. I will talk about some of the different property strategies as well that you can take advantage of that can help you to create wealth. I've also got a couple of case studies as well that I'm just going to talk to you about, just to give you a broad understanding of, what we're talking about, what things to look for when you're buying your investment property. And then towards the end, I'll also just share with you the services that I can offer in terms of what, how we can work together in the future. So my name is Chenai Banda. I'm a qualified accountant. I've worked in finance corporate roles for the last 12 to 13 years. I've always loved numbers. I always wanted to be an accountant. So yeah, there is another accountant in the room. I think there's probably a theme going on with accountants today. But I've always liked money. I've always, thought it's always about making money, finding that business or finding that side hustle, just, to keep things going as well. So it just keeps me going. In terms of my mission and passion, it's all about educating people and helping people to create generational wealth, because I believe as children of God, we are called to glorify God's name. And in that, land and property and money and creating wealth is part of it. We are steward of what resources are available to us. And the beauty about land and property, it's something that's generational. It will create wealth for you. It will leave a legacy. Even your grandkids will even benefit from it. So I'm incredibly passionate about it. And and if there's any way I can help you in your journey, that'll be fantastic as well. So just a brief outline of why you should be investing in property. So in the UK, there's a massive property market. And the reason why there's that opportunity in the UK is because we are on an island and we're not getting any bigger, whereas the population is massively growing. So there's always that demand for tenants that want to live in a home who can't necessarily afford a residential home, and they actually want to just be in a home and are happy to pay the rent for that property. So there's always a high rental demand for you that you can take advantage of. The other advantage of investing in property as well is you're actually beating inflation as well, because at the moment we're talking about inflation is probably between 7 to 8%, but I'm sure there's been talks as well about potentially towards the end of the year it's probably going to be double-digit figures. So if you've got money sitting in the bank, you're getting poorer every single day. So why not take advantage of the property market and buy a property? And also, I find that being a landlord and a property investor is very rewarding. You find these properties, some are not in the best conditions. You're restoring them. You're putting new kitchens, new bathrooms. You're making it a very lovely home. And then families are moving in. Couples are moving in, and you're creating a home for people. So you're providing a service, which is something we should do as God's children. We should be providing that service to people. And it's incredibly rewarding, like I've already said. The other key advantage about property investing as well is you are leveraging. You're leveraging off the banks, because the banks are actually giving you 75% of, as a mortgage. It is a debt, but in this aspect, it is a good debt because you're actually buying an asset with this as a property investment, you're actually buying an asset. So it's a little bit different to your residential home. So your residential home is not really classified as an asset. because you're paying money into it. You're still, you're still doing the garden, you're still having to pay the maintenance of it and everything like that. So that's not really classified as an asset. So we're looking at your buy-to-lets are what we're calling assets, and that's what you're able to buy as from a mortgage from the banks. There's also many ways you can also fund your investment property as well. So you can also get private finance as well. You can talk to friends, family, people who know you. They already know, like, and trust you. They can, if you've got the right understanding, maybe you've had the right education, you've partnered up with someone, or you've even partnered up with myself in terms of, collaboration together. You can actually approach your friends and families who do have these funds available, and you're able to actually offer them, some kind of interest to say, look, if you give me this 20,000, 30,000, however much money it is, you can offer them some kind of reward, or you can even joint venture with a family friend as well, So there's many ways to raise capital. There's many things that you can take advantage of. And also when I talk about collaboration, it's also, when you are in property investing, you're working with different types of skills. You're working from the solicitor who's going to do the conveyancing. You're working with your mortgage broker who's got the skills also to find the right product for you. So that's all that is collaborating with other skills. So you're leveraging off that skills. You don't have to know about conveyancing. Your solicitor does. You don't have to be the expert broker. Your broker is, your builder is the one who's actually going to do the work. So all this is collaboration. It's you just bringing everybody together, and then you actually working on the product as well. And the other good thing about it, there's a personal development to this, because you're learning new skills, you're advancing yourselves, you're liaising with different types of professionals, you're learning how to work with people, and overall it's a good personal development for you. So it all makes sense, and why not? And then the other advantage as well when you're investing in property is there's a regular income as well to it. So because your tenants are literally paying you a rent, which is a rental income, but from that rental income, you're going to pay off your mortgage, and you're going to have a cash flow, a little profit, depending on how much that is, depending on the rent and your mortgage. Mostly when you are investing in property, you want to make sure that you are actually making a profit from your investment. So you make sure that you are cash flowing, positively cash flow. So it could be 200, 300 pounds, depending on what exactly you're doing. And that's per month. It's also a good retirement plan for you. Some of us, we're 9-to-5 jobs. You could ask yourself, are you going to be doing this in your 60s, 70s? Maybe not. You maybe have dreams to travel the world, do other things you enjoy, maybe do some charity work. I know some people are from Zimbabwe as well. You might have some passion to go back to Zimbabwe and just do something totally different. So this is also could be a potential retirement plan for you, because what you could do is you're working hard for the next 5-10 years. You want to build this portfolio, cash flowing assets, and that allows you to replace your day job. And you just have this money that you can rely upon, and you don't necessarily have to be doing a 9-to-5 job. So that's something you can consider as a retirement plan. And also the beauty about investing in property as well is creating wealth for you. As long as you're keeping this asset, you're maintaining it, you've got your tenants, you make sure you've given them a good product, they stay for long periods of time. Over time, the property price will also increase. There's potential capital growth for you. It is a long-term thing. I know sometimes people sell a short course of get rich quick schemes and things like that. Property is nothing like that. So it's not a quick fix. It's not, get out of debt quickly kind of thing. It's something you have to structure, and you have to run it well, and you have to run it as a business. That's why also there's a lot of legislation around property at the moment, because what governments are trying to do, they're trying to tackle landlords and make sure that you're running these investments like a business. They want you, like the young lady before was mentioning about, the tax digital, making that quarterlies, because they want to know that what income are you getting? Are you serious about what you're doing? So those are the kind of things that they're bringing in. There's lots of legislation that comes in. You've got gas safety certificates, you've got electrical safety certificates, you've got EPCR changes as well. So all those kind of things are all just to make you into a good business person, really. That's all it is. It's not for you to not invest in property and say, oh no, there's too much legislation, you can't make any money. If you do it well, you will make money and you will create wealth for yourself. Sorry, just bear with me. Go to the next slide. Okay, so some of the strategies as well. So there's different, I've already mentioned buy-to-let strategy. That's pretty much where you've got a single family home and it's pretty standard. It could be a flat or it could be a house as well. Then you've also got another strategy where you're doing refurbs. This is where you find something that is completely run down. You can either purchase at an auction or purchase from someone who maybe haven't kept their house well. You're renovating the kitchen, bathroom, give it a whole fresh look, and then basically then going to the bank to refinance it. And then you can either rent it out or you can keep it. And you can rent it out or you can flip it, which is the second point that I've got, which is flipping. So that's where you're buying to sell to make a profit from the property itself. Then the next thing is HMOs, which is houses of multiple occupancy. So these are cash flowing assets. So what you're doing here effectively is you've got a big size house, let's say 4 to 5 bedrooms. Potentially, some people tend to extend those out to put a nice big kitchen so that you've got a lovely communal area and then have 2 extra bedrooms in the loft. So depending where you are in the UK, it's a very good strategy you can do, because it actually creates adds value to the actual property itself. You are able to refinance it and recoup as much of your cost that you've put in, and then at the end of it, you're then renting each room to each tenant on a room by room basis. And we're talking about potentially, depending where you are in the area, potentially starts from about 500 right up to £1,000 per room. So, if you are having a 5-6 bedroom house, that could be about £4,000 or £5,000 a month. You do obviously have to pay the bills when it comes to an HMO, and there are costs involved in terms of the council tax and obviously the electrics and running of the property as well. It's a lot more difficult to manage, but obviously it is more cash flowing. But again, going back to my point before, you're running a business. So if you've got the right systems around that HMO and you've got the right people in place, it should work quite well for you. There's also another strategy where you can have new builds as well. So potentially you can just build from a bare land and build some homes. You can either build the homes to actually sell them on, or you can actually refinance and then keep them as part of your portfolio as well. So either way, it depends on what kind of returns you're looking for. That's also another strategy you could do. You could also do land gain as well. So this is where there's a lot of land in the country, but there's a lot of land that doesn't have planning. So you could also, do a lot of due diligence around research, where's the land and what kind of area it suits, and try to find out who's the owner, try to convince them of how much you want to pay for the land, get some planning permission. But in getting the planning permission, you obviously have to have a planning consultant, have architecture, and get also just make sure, and your builder as well, just to give you an understanding of what the costs are going to be when you build out the land as well, so what should you really be paying for the land. And then you put it through planning. And sometimes you could uplift the actual value of the land you could even double it. And you don't necessarily have to be the one who builds it out. If you get land and you get the planning permission on it, you can actually pass it on to a developer who's happy just to actually do the build themselves. There's also commercial to resi. COVID has kind of fast-tracked things. Our high streets were coming to an end anyway because of Amazon. People like to be online, social media and everything like that. So it's a different world we're living in. So our high streets have massively changed. So there's a lot of shops, lots of betting shops, lots of, pubs. Some pubs are closed. So all those areas, now there's legislation where you can change GP offices, dentists, churches as well. You can change anything, not anything, sorry. There is a list of certain commercial buildings you can change, but you're changing them into residential because they're actually adding value, because when it's a residential property, it's actually worth more than a commercial property. So those are some of the strategies you could actually implement. The first case study I was going to go through with you is an auction purchase, but I was just going to pause for 1 second just in case anyone has any questions for some of the stuff that I've just shared. So just give 2 minutes just to see if anyone has any questions. Tendai, do we have any questions?
None in there, but I'll ask you one quickly.
That's
Can
fine.
can anyone do this? Like the land purchase, I mean, what does it take to qualify? Because I think a lot of us rule ourselves out because we just think, I obviously don't qualify. I know we'll be dealing with all of those voices later on in the conference, but yeah, can anyone do this? Can you do it? Can I do it? Can our attendees do this?
The short answer is yes. Anybody who's determined can do it, but you have to have the right skill. You have to have the education with anything. You know, it's new. If it's not something you've done before, I mean, partner up with somebody who's already done it, learn from them, or work with them for free, you know, and find out what skills do I need. YouTube is a very good channel. You know, I think it's more like a university now. There's nothing you can find so much on YouTube. You can learn about these things. You can see what other people are doing. Some people share their highs. Some people even share their lows. You can actually find out what are the things that I should avoid doing. So, for example, tonight, like what you're saying with the land game, you can do it. People can do it. It's very possible for you to do it. It's all achievable. Property investing is achievable, and if it's something that anybody has been saying, I want to do it, I don't know where to start, you can do it as long as you're determined. There will be downs. There will be times when you're probably thinking, why am I doing this? But I think ultimately, if you stay focused, you can definitely do it. So I'm just going to move on to the first case study. So this was actually my first buy-to-let. I purchased this in auction, and that was through me, obviously, having been educated, had the right skills. I was pretty confident that I knew exactly what I was looking for, what I wanted to buy, and in the area that I wanted to buy as well. The area is Wolverhampton. I'm very familiar with the area. It's an up and coming place, and I was confident that over time, the house would pay for itself. So this was actually purchased in auction for 91,000. At the moment, you can't get anything for 91,000 in Wolverhampton. So at the time, I thought, oh, that's a lot. But now I'm realizing that, you know, the market has massively changed and it's moved on. Since I did purchase it right after, we just did a light refurb on it, light touch. It was very much in a livable condition. But what I did do is I just changed the carpets, changed the kitchen doors, and just freshened it up just a little bit. And tenants moved in pretty much within 3 weeks. The yield that I get from this particular property is 8%. So that is based on the gross rent that I receive on a calendar month. So it's working a lot better than inflation. It's beating what, if I had this money put in the savings, it's beating that rate as well. So it's a really good, straightforward, very buy-to-let, straightforward vanilla buy-to-let. You know, it's always been a family home. I've only had 2 tenants in this property over the years, and it's worked quite well. There are times when you've had calls, you know, this is not working, and you've had to sort that out. But there's never been a time when I've had to physically go onto the property and do anything to the property. I just kind of get onto either Yellow Pages or Facebook and find a plumber or find whatever problem has gone on. So that's me leveraging off other people's skills, so which is also good. It was recently valued, sometime last year, not recently, sorry, for 125K. So at the moment, that's about 31,000 equity within the property. I'll just show you some pictures, some internal pictures of the property. And then just moving on to my second case study. So this is a serviced accommodation, city centre in Birmingham. Serviced accommodation is another strategy that I didn't mention on the list, but it's more of a cash flowing strategy, really. And because of COVID at the moment, it's something that, you know, people have been really interested in because it generates a lot more money compared to, you know, your single buy-to-lets, even more than your HMOs. The only thing about serviced accommodation, basically what you're doing is you're listing your property on platforms such as Airbnb, bookings.com, and Home from Home, and you're charging your guests a nightly rate. So you're basically running a hotel. And the reason why your guests would come and pay, whatever rate you're offering is because normally you tend to give them a little bit more than a hotel. There's better facilities sometimes, and they also get their own personal space as well, because I think because of COVID, a lot of families don't tend to travel anymore. They're traveling quite locally, so they're happy to actually spend a few nights or a weekend in another city, and they would prefer, rather than going into a hotel, they'd rather just go into a service accommodation unit as well. So this is quite a high cash flowing asset on a monthly basis. This was a 1-bed flat. Basically, how I structured it is in the bedroom itself, I had what they call a zipline bed, where you can actually split the beds separately. So even like 4 friends could actually stay there as well, because in the living room that you can see over there, that's a sofa bed. You can actually open that up and separate it into a proper double bedroom as well. The other thing with it is a high cash flowing product, but you do have to pay for some of the services around it. So you would be paying your mortgages. You'd still, if it is a flat, you still pay your service charge and ground rent costs. Depending whether you're registered as a business or not. If you haven't, you can register as a business and not pay business rates or council tax. You still have to obviously have cleaners to come and clean out, and also laundry facilities. But those type of things like cleaning and laundry, you can actually get your guests to pay for that. So this particular flat, like I said, it was averaging about between 1,800 to 2,000 pounds per month. The expenses were about 1.1, and making a profit about 700 to 800 to 900 pounds per month. So, you don't need a lot of these to replace, an average salary income in the UK, which I think is about 31,000 at the moment. So a few of these kind of cash flowing properties, you can replace your income, but that's obviously will come with a bit of hard work as well. So here are just some of the pictures of how it looks. And then also here's some of the reviews, some of the guests. And reviews are very important because they actually sell your business. Because if you're getting 10 out of 10 reviews, people are more likely to actually come and visit the property. If there's anything that's wrong, you can quickly kind of change it. And the beauty about this, when you're running it as a business efficiently, you never have to meet your guests. You have to make sure that you've got the right systems in place. You give your guests codes, you send them emails, they know how to get into the property, they get a code to actually access the key, and they know how to leave the key when they leave, and things like that. So you never really get to meet your guests. So, if it is a high luxury product that you're offering, maybe that service, the concierge service would be good. But in most times, you don't actually necessarily have to meet your guests. Okay, and then just moving on to services that I offer. So there are 3 ways that you can work with me. The first thing is you can actually be an investor in my project. So this is where we work, where you're investing in the actual project itself for a fixed income over a period of time. And the second way is a package deal. So this is where we work together, find out what your criteria is, where do you want to actually invest, what yields do you want to meet, and I can actually then source the actual buy-to-let property for you, and that's done at a sourcing fee. Basically, we take over from the point of actually finding the property right up to the point where the tenant moves in. It's like I hold your hand throughout the whole process. The conveyancing, you use the solicitors I use. Normally, it's easier if you've already got your mortgage in principle, because it's easier for you to speak to your financial advisor and understand how much you can afford. So it's always good that you have your mortgage in principle ready, and that way we find the right deal for you and take it from there. The other third product that I offer is education as well. Like I said in the beginning, I'm very passionate about teaching people about property investing, creating wealth. So I've also got a coaching platform. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I believe we should all be buying houses. I don't know, it might sound quite weird, but I just think we should all just, even if there's 1 or 2, we should all just be buying investment properties, because you don't really know. And I think if anything, things like COVID have taught us that you can't be reliant on that one salary. Anything can happen. But if you learn how to invest in property, if you've got these assets paying, paying for your lifestyle. I mean, that's the best thing to do. And if there's any way I can help you in your journey, that would be fantastic. There's also, I just wanted to share the link where you can connect with me. So we can have a 30-minute consultation that's free of charge. Just have an idea of what you're looking for, even if it's just to pick my brains. If you're saying, Chenai, I've seen something, what do you think? I'm happy to talk. So I'll share the link in the chat. But basically, that's all from me. I don't know if there were any more questions.
Wow, thank you so much, Chenai. That was awesome, incredible. Yes, we should all be buying properties, and you made it seem so easy. There is strategies for everybody. From what you explained, someone was literally asking, how do we get in touch with you? And I think you've just answered that. How much do you charge for coaching, please? I'm sure by booking a consultation you'll find out, but do you have a figure, Chennai? Or is it dependent?
So basically it's more about us, how best can we work together? So making sure that it's about talking together, making sure that we find the product that's best for you, depending on your circumstances. Because I also understand sometimes it might not be the right time for you as well. So it's about, let's have that 30-minute discussion first, and then see how best we can work together for the future.
That is absolutely wonderful. Thank you for that. So we're going to be changing how we use some of our time currency, transferring from shopping in Harrods to investing in property, just taking a break on some of those luxuries, to start getting in there. So thank you for sharing your links on there, Chennai. Please, guys, get in touch. This is, a door, a way. Like she said, it's for everybody. It's for us all, and it's those who make the decision to say, you know what, I want to get in on it and overcome the enemies. Remember, there are enemies within you. They're not external. They're all within you. Overcome the fear, the excuses, the procrastination, and get started. 12 months from now, you'll be further ahead than you were before. And just look at those currencies that you have, your time, your relationships. We've been given a pearl here, another person in your network. If you don't know anyone or wondered, how can I do it? Now you have Chenai's contacts. You can connect, plug into this individual and say, you know what? I'm not letting you go until I have my properties, so thank you so much, Chenai.